Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Today we're talking about the ethical considerations of spatial computing,
Oh, yeah.
a field that's evolving at an incredible pace.
Yeah, it really is. It's mind-blowing how fast things are changing.
I mean, from virtual reality to augmented reality to even the metaverse.
Right. And it's not just the technology itself, it's how we use it.
Yeah.
That raises a lot of ethical questions.
And that's exactly what we're going to be exploring today with the help of
Thoughtfully.
an organization dedicated to guiding the ethical development of spatial computing.
That's right. Yeah. The XR Guild is doing some really important work in this space.
So let's dive right in. What kind of ethical dilemmas are we already seeing pop up as this tech advances?
Well, I think one of the biggest ones is data privacy.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, think about it. When you're in a virtual world, every move you make, every interaction you have can be tracked and recorded.
Right.
So then who owns that data?
Right.
How is it being used? Could it be used to manipulate or exploit people? These are not hypothetical questions.
Yeah. It's pretty scary when you think about it.
It is a little unsettling.
It's like Big Brother, but on a whole other level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're constantly leaving these digital footprints in these immersive spaces. And it's not just about data privacy.
What else?
There's also the issue of bias.
Oh, right. Like in the algorithms that power these experiences.
Yeah, exactly. If those algorithms are trained on biased data, they can actually perpetuate and even amplify existing inequalities in the real world.
Oh, wow. So how do we ensure that we're not just building cool tech, but building it responsibly and thoughtfully?
That's where the XR Guild comes in.
Okay, so tell me more about them. Who are they? What do they do?
Well, they're kind of like the ethical compass for spatial computing.
Okay, I like that.
They're a group of professionals, developers, designers, researchers, who are all committed to making sure these technologies are developed ethically.
So they're not just talking about ethics, they're actually trying to put it into practice.
Absolutely. And one of the ways they're doing that is by developing this set of 12 ethical principles to guide the development of spatial computing products and experiences.
12 ethical principles.
Okay.
So what are some of the things they address?
Well, things like data privacy, inclusivity, accessibility, and even, the distribution of power in the metaverse.
Oh, it's a lot to unpack.
It is,
Yeah.
but it's all really important stuff, We're talking about shaping the future here.
That's true. So can you give me an example of one of these principles that really resonates with you?
Yeah, sure. One that I find particularly compelling is every person matters.
Okay. Every person matters. I like that.
It seems pretty straightforward, but the implications are actually really profound.
How so?
Well, it means we need to be designing experiences that are accessible to everyone,
Right.
including people with disabilities, people from different cultures, and people from all socioeconomic backgrounds.
It's about making sure that no one gets left behind.
Exactly. We can't let the excitement of this technology blind us to the need for inclusivity.
That's so important. Another principle you mentioned was freedom and privacy are inseparable human rights,
Yes, that one's crucial too.
especially in these immersive environments where data collection can be so pervasive.
Exactly. How do we protect user privacy in a world where every move you make can potentially be tracked and analyzed?
Yeah, that's a tough one. It seems like we're always walking this tightrope between the amazing potential of these technologies
Yeah,
and the potential risks if they're not developed responsibly.
you hit the nail on the head. It's all about finding that balance.
Okay, so the XR Guild's principles provide a framework for navigating these complexities.
Right. They give us a set of guidelines to help us make ethical decisions when we're building in this digital world.
They're like the building codes for the metaverse.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
They help us make sure that the world we're creating is not only beautiful,
Right.
but also safe and fair.
But it's not enough just to lay out these principles.
Right.
People need practical resources to actually apply them.
Absolutely. And the XR Guild recognizes that.
So what kind of resources are they providing?
Well, one of the most valuable ones is called extended principles.
Extended principles. What's that?
It's basically like a deep dive into each of those 12 ethical guidelines.
Oh, okay. So it goes beyond just the basic principles.
Exactly. It unpacks the nuances, offers practical advice, and even provides case studies to show how these principles play out in real-world situations.
So it's not just theory. They're giving people concrete examples and tools to help them make ethical decisions in their day-to-day work.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. And I understand they're also big on fostering a sense of community and collaboration among professionals in the field.
Yeah, they really are. They understand that tackling these ethical challenges is not a solo mission.
Right, it takes a village.
It really does. And that's where their uncontent events come in.
What's that?
It's basically an informal gathering where people can connect, share ideas, and brainstorm solutions to ethical dilemmas they're facing in their work.
So it's like a safe space for people to be honest about the challenges and to support each other in finding solutions.
That's the idea. And they even offer a mentorship program where more experienced professionals can provide guidance to those who are newer to the field or who might be wrestling with a particularly thorny ethical problem.
It sounds like they're creating a real support system, a network of people committed to building a more ethical future for spatial computing.
That's exactly what they're doing. And, it's really inspiring to see.
It is.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, are they just preaching to the choir? Do they have any real influence on companies that might not be as interested in ethics?
That's a fair question. And it's true that not every company is going to embrace these principles with open arms.
Right, especially if it cuts into their profits.
Yeah, that's always a concern. But the XR Guild is working to shift the industry culture as a whole.
Okay, so how are they doing that?
By raising awareness, providing resources, fostering dialogue, and advocating for policies that promote ethical development.
So they're not just a think tank. They're actively trying to shape the direction of the industry.
Exactly. And they're doing it in a way that's collaborative, not confrontational. They're not trying to shame companies into doing the right thing.
So it's more about empowerment.
Exactly. They're trying to empower companies to do the right thing.
I can see how that approach would be more effective.
It is. And what they're finding is that a lot of companies are actually receptive to this message. They're starting to realize that ethics isn't just a nice to have.
Oh, really?
It's a business imperative.
Wow, that's encouraging to hear.
It is. It means we're moving in the right direction.
Okay, so we've talked about their ethical principles, their unconventional events, their mentorship program. What about their library database? You mentioned it's a goldmine of information, but not quite there yet in terms of searchability.
Yeah, that's right. They've got this amazing collection of research papers, articles, videos, all related to ethics in spatial computing.
It sounds incredible.
It is. But right now, it's a bit like trying to find a needle in a haystack. They're working on improving the searchability, but it's a big undertaking.
Yeah, I bet. So if anyone out there has a knack for organizing information, the XR Guild could use your help.
Absolutely. They're always looking for volunteers.
That's great to know. So it's not just about being a member. There are lots of ways for people to contribute, even if they're not working directly in spatial computing.
That's right. And, one of the most important things the XR Guild does is create spaces for open and honest conversations about these ethical challenges.
Yeah, sometimes just having a safe space to talk about these issues, to air your concerns, and get feedback from others can make a world of difference.
Exactly. And the XR Guild is trying to foster that kind of culture.
It's like they're building a community of practice, a network of people who can support each other in navigating these uncharted waters.
You got it. It's all about collaboration, knowledge sharing, and collective action.
And that's what gives me hope for the future of spatial computing. It's not just a few lone voices in the wilderness.
No, it's not.
It's a growing movement of people who are committed to ensuring that these technologies are used for good.
And it's not just about preventing harm.
Right.
It's also about harnessing the incredible potential of these technologies to create a better future for all of us.
That's beautifully said. This has been incredibly eye-opening. You've given me a whole new perspective on the ethical considerations surrounding spatial computing.
I'm glad to hear that. It's a topic that I'm really passionate about, and I hope our listeners feel inspired to learn more and get involved.
I hope so, too. I agree. It's definitely something to be hopeful about, and it sounds like the XR Guild is doing a lot to create that culture of ethical development.
Yeah, they are. One of the things I find really valuable is their mentorship program, where more experienced professionals can offer guidance to those who are newer to the field.
Oh, that's a great idea, especially for someone who might be working in a company where ethics isn't always the top priority.
Exactly. It's like having a trusted advisor, someone who's been there, done that, to help you navigate those tricky situations.
Someone to bounce ideas off of.
Right. And it's not just about giving them the answers. It's more about helping them develop their own critical thinking skills and ethical frameworks.
Well, they can make sound decisions on their own.
Yeah, exactly. Ultimately, it's about empowering individuals to be ethical actors in their organizations and in the industry as a whole.
That makes sense. And the XR Guild recognizes that kind of cultural shift takes time.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's not going to happen overnight.
But it sounds like they're in it for the long haul.
Absolutely. They're committed to this, and they believe that by, fostering these conversations, providing resources and support, they can help create a more ethical and responsible future for spatial computing.
I'm curious, though, have they received any pushback or criticism for their work?
I mean, yeah, of course. Any organization trying to drive change is going to face some resistance.
Makes sense. What kind of criticism?
Well, some critics argue that their principles are too vague.
Okay.
Or that they don't offer enough specific guidance for companies that are, facing really complex ethical dilemmas.
So it's that tension between having high-level aspirational principles
Right.
and having more specific rules, which might be easier to enforce, but could also, stifle innovation.
Exactly. It's finding that balance.
And has the XR Guild responded to this criticism?
Oh, yeah. They've acknowledged this tension, and they're constantly refining their principles, trying to provide more practical guidance and working with companies on a more granular level.
So it's an ongoing process.
Absolutely, because the tech is evolving so rapidly, and the ethical challenges are changing right along with it.
So they have to be adaptable.
They do, but I think their core principles provide a really solid foundation for navigating all of this complexity.
They're kind of like the ethical pioneers of spatial computing,
Yeah, I like that.
forging a path through uncharted territory, learning as they go.
That's a great way to put it. And, they're doing it with this spirit of collaboration
Okay.
and a genuine desire to, create a better future.
I like that. So if you've talked about the mentorship program, the Unconf events, are there any other ways that the XR Guild is trying to make a difference?
Oh, yeah, for sure. One of their major initiatives is their library database.
Oh, right. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, it's this huge collection of resources related to ethics and spatial computing research papers, articles, videos, all sorts of stuff.
So it's like a one-stop shop for anyone who wants to learn more.
Exactly. But the challenge is that it's not the most user-friendly database at the moment.
What do you mean?
Well, the searchability could be better. It's a bit like trying to find a needle in a haystack right now.
So there's room for improvement.
Oh, definitely. They're working on it, but, it's a big project.
It sounds like it. I bet they could use some help from someone with expertise in information organization.
Oh, absolutely. They're always looking for volunteers with different skill sets to help them advance their mission.
That's great to hear. So it's not just about being a member. There are tons of ways to get involved.
Exactly. And, it's not just about the database. They're doing so much more.
Like what?
Well, for example, one of their top priorities right now is addressing the issue of data privacy.
Oh, of course, with these immersive technologies collecting so much data about us.
Exactly. And the XR Guild is working to develop guidelines and best practices to make sure that this data is, handled responsibly, transparently, and with user consent.
That's so crucial because it's easy to get swept up in all the amazing things this technology can do and forget about the potential downsides.
Right. And, another big concern is the potential for bias in the AI algorithms that power many of these experiences.
Right. If those algorithms are trained on biased data, they could end up perpetuating and even amplifying existing inequalities in the real world.
Exactly. So the XR Guild is working to educate developers and designers about bias detection and mitigation, and they're advocating for more diverse and representative data sets to be used to train these algorithms.
So they're really tackling these issues head on.
They are, and they're also really focused on accessibility. They believe that everyone should have the opportunity to participate in these immersive experiences, regardless of their physical abilities.
Oh, I love that.
Right, and they're working to make sure that accessibility is baked into the design from the beginning.
Rather than just an afterthought.
Exactly. It should be a core value.
It seems like they're really thinking about the bigger picture, too.
Oh, yeah, they are. They're looking at the societal implications of this technology.
In what way?
Well, things like, how will the metaverse impact our sense of identity, our relationships, our communities?
Wow, those are big questions.
They are, and it's important that someone's asking them.
I agree. It's reassuring to know that the XR Guild is thinking about these things and trying to anticipate potential problems before they arise.
Right. They're trying to guide the development of these technologies in a more ethical direction.
This conversation has been so insightful. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm feeling a lot more optimistic about the future of spatial computing, knowing that there are groups like the XR Guild out there.
I am too. They're doing really important work.
They are. And they're showing us that it's possible to build a future where spatial computing benefits everyone.
And that's what it's all about.
It really is exciting and a little bit scary all at the same time,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
but it's definitely not something we can ignore.
No, definitely not. It's here to stay.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
What are some key takeaways for our listeners? What are the most important things to remember as we step into this world of spatial computing?
Well, I think the first thing to remember is that technology is never neutral.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it always reflects the values and the biases of the people who create it.
Oh, I see.
So, we need to be actively involved in shaping these technologies to make sure that they align with the kind of future that we want to live in.
So it's not enough to just be passive consumer.
No, exactly. We need to be active participants in shaping this digital world.
And I guess that also means being aware of the potential downsides.
Absolutely. We can't just get caught up in all the cool new gadgets and forget about the ethical implications.
Right. So another takeaway is that ethical considerations shouldn't be an afterthought.
Definitely, they need to be baked into the design process from the very beginning.
Yeah, it's like building a house. You wouldn't wait until the roof is on to start thinking about fire safety.
Exactly. You'd build it in from the foundation up.
So we need to be thinking about the ethical implications of this technology from day one.
And I think it's also important to be aware of the power dynamics at play.
What do you mean by that?
Well, who controls these technologies? Who benefits from them? And who might be excluded or exploited?
It's about being critical consumers, asking tough questions, and holding those in power accountable.
Exactly. And that's where the XR Guild is so valuable. They're giving us the tools, the resources, and the support to help us do that.
This deep dive has really highlighted the importance of collective action. I mean, we can't address these challenges alone. We need to work together.
Absolutely. We need to come together, share knowledge, and collaborate to create a future where spatial computing really benefits everyone.
And that's a future I think we can all get behind.
Yeah, it's definitely something worth striving for.
This has been a really insightful conversation. I feel like I've learned so much about the XR Guild and the work they're doing.
I'm glad to hear that it's a topic I'm really passionate about.
And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has inspired you to learn more about spatial computing and the ethical considerations that come with it.
And we hope you'll join us in shaping a future where technology is used to create a better world for everyone.
Thanks for listening, everyone.